Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Hanging in there.
Yeah,
I'm alive.
that
That's
alive. Yeah,
that's a good subtitle. We're alive.
After 4 finals, I am alive. I am kicking, I guess.
I'm glad to hear that you're at least alive. I know you've got that one last one. You're almost there. You're so close.
Am I?
You are. You'll get
We
there.
hope you are.
All right, I am.
Okay. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to Kigu Talk. I am your local babushka.
And I am Pre, your favorite, more or less controversial queen. Yes.
Your controversial queen.
Extra.
To be.
Go on, Liz. We're having an awful time right now.
Today we took a week off, and I already just don't know how to work anything. Like, I just forgot. But hi, I'm Lysandala. I am here.
Existing.
I'm existing. I am to be today. I, at the risk of making too much noise and getting up, just trust me that I am to be today. So.
Just trust me.
Just
We
trust
believe
me.
you. And we also have Mr. AJ Cosplay with us today.
He's
Hello,
our first
friend.
Hello.
guest. Yay!
It's a pleasure to be here,
Welcome on the
guys.
Yeah,
show.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
So, let me see. We do have some announcements, but I kind of want to keep them till later because some of them are related to Comfy Cozy Con. And, well, I guess we could say it now, right? Do you want to say it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go
All
for
right,
it.
so tomorrow, December 12th, which, December is flying by, we
I
have
know.
Comfy Cozy Con, and it is a all-day virtual con that you can watch from the comfort of your home and not go to Anime Dallas. And go in cons and purrs, and, we don't
Yeah.
do that here, right? Right.
Only
So,
cool people come to Comfy
only
Cozy.
cool people go to Comfy Cozy Con. It starts, I believe, at 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, there's some
And
really cool panels that are gonna be going on too. I'm really excited for the sewing one. It's the plushathon where you get to sew a plushie alongside someone. I'm interested to see
um,
how that's gonna work.
if you ever
I
want to
can't
do
wait to
blueprints,
attend.
there's the blueprints one, which you never know when you may need to know that. I'm for that, but I think if it's in the morning, I'm really nocturnal, so if it's in the morning, I'll probably catch the vibe. Um, I also will be actually on Comfy Cozy Con. I will be on the diversity and cosplay um, panel that is at 5 p.m. Central. So I will be on there too. Yay! Hi! Talking about cosplay and diversity. It's gonna be a good time. Like we had a test run last night, and I am really excited because a lot of the panelists that I met, they were cool. They had such a vibe. Like I don't know how to describe it. They just had like such a vibe. It was very welcoming. It's like I just want to talk to them more, So um, there's that, and I will talk about because I think because the next guest panel opportunity that's been extended to us is actually in the middle of the week, and so by the time we talk about it next Friday, it'll be done. But I will be also I will be representing Kigu Talk in a overseas virtual con. So we out there.
Snaps
stuff.
for us.
Like snaps for us, man. Like I have to say that like we've only been doing this for like about 2-3 episodes, and I just think it's amazing that people are reaching out to us. Like we just started this. This is crazy. So thank you guys. Like if you're recommending us to your friends, or you're just like, man, my internet hopefully did not crash.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
So,
There
no,
we
I think
go.
it's just
We're
interesting.
back.
Okay. Did it crash? Did I hiccup?
It buffered a little bit.
Yeah,
It
buffered a little bit.
All right, cool. Well, Twitch does that. So, I just want to like say thank you for any of you guys that are like recommending us or just being like, yo, man, I like dark. Wow. Let's turn this on a little bit. And yeah, whatever. I like lost my train of
Oh.
thought because I thought I lost my internet connection, and I was like, oh crap! Of course this would happen today, right? Now I'm too bright. Tragedies of life. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's my announcements. I guess I'll just whatever my internet's doing today. It just doesn't like it. Very cool.
Are we good, Liz?
I don't know. Like, um,
We're just experiencing some technical difficulties. It's
As-
perfectly fine.
no, but anybody like on a stream, are we just buffering, or is it like just? I guess it. I don't know. Figured it shouldn't be doing that. So,
I haven't worn this
Those are live
costume in so long. I forgot how this headband
um,
works.
so for those in chat, is everything like okay? Like the
Let me
video
ask.
quality is okay and everything like that? Cause I might just pop. Yeah. Is the stream okay? Before we
There
get
we
started?
go. Yeah, the stream looks like it's working fine.
Okay, alright, cool. Alright, so we're gonna get before disaster strikes. Let me just go ahead. But that is all of our announcements today, and a hearty thank you.
It died
guys.
again, just so you know.
Oh my god, why is it dying? Are you
Oh, it was just buffering. It's
I
better
think
now.
it's just- I think it's fine. So
Why?
Audio doesn't seem to cut out. It's just the screen that
Okay.
buffer a few seconds every now and then.
Well, that we can work with. Perfectly fine.
Alright, so today's subject we're talking about getting into the cosplay community and getting into
How
the cosplay
fun.
community and getting into cosplay and how fun that is to be on a sweet bird app. So
it can be a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Yes.
Um,
It can.
Agreed.
so I have our outline here, Babu. I don't know.
Yeah, so the first thing that we wanted to talk about with getting into the cosplay community is the pressures that you feel when you first enter it, because when people first start to get into costuming or cosplay in general, they usually get into it because they have someone that inspired them to do it because they saw someone else do it. And that's just going to ultimately lead to feeling certain pressures because it's something that you get into because you look up to someone and you want to fit the ideals that you believe that person has, or you want to live up to the expectations that you have of that person. And those pressures are different for everyone depending on who they are, their experiences, and who inspired them to get into it. So, yeah.
So wow, did my brain die? I just died today. I'm so sorry.
You're
guys.
good.
We're let's see, this is what happened. We took a week off.
One thing that I
Um,
can definitely point out for pressures is the pressure that you feel to constantly stay on top of getting content out and creating it. We're at a time where people are constantly making, which is great. Like, it's awesome that we've built this community where people can just thrive making things day in and day out. But because of that, there's this culture where people kind of jump between costumes trying to get through them as quick as they can because they want to get the content out there as quick as they can. And that, if you feel that pressure and you kind of cave into it, eventually you do feel that really awful burnout where you just don't even enjoy making the costumes that you actually wanted to make because you've just made so much that you didn't, or you've been just working so hard, even making things that you did want to, that you just don't have the energy to even want to continue doing it.
I also feel like since because we're in a pandemic and we can't really go outside and keep ourselves busy with out of cosplay and things like that, we're consistently on our phones. So when we see people like, just posting and just doing all of these like at home cosplay shoots and things like that, like sometimes you might think, oh, I feel behind, maybe I should just get X cosplay from Amazon. Sometimes I feel like that, but what you kind of have to remember is that you have to kind of look at what's in front of you and like prioritize that first before you get into that like that sea of everyone else, like, you know, like regardless if you're like slower or faster than others when it comes to posting content or trying to keep up with content, you have to figure out what's good for you. So
As I don't know. I mean, you guys. I think you guys pretty much already like covered it. The whole what pressures that you feel when entering. But um, I guess.
there's I do have one question. So AJ, what
Yes.
are some pressures you felt when you first entered the community?
Be
Honestly,
candid. Please be candid, because I'm always curious
Just
about like how
well,
hard it is for men.
it's not okay. That's a whole other conversation. It's I don't think hard is the right word, but as far as being accepted in this community, I think I was kind of privileged in the sense that I slowly cosplayed at the beginning. I didn't start cosplaying until I was in showing my age a bit here, but technically my first cosplay was like 10 years ago, back when I was in high school. And it was kind of on a whim. It was just, it had nothing to do with, like, you always see cosplayers at cons. I was still kind of new to going to them. And you're absolutely right. Sometimes it's a matter of you see other people doing it and you're like, I want to try that. But other times it could just kind of be a whim where it's like, oh, I was big into D. Grayman at the time. And I saw a character named Tiki Meek, and I'm like, I look like that guy. It would not be hard for me to do that. So I just gathered the stuff I already had, cosplayed it, and the thing the thing that I really liked was meeting people through the cosplay. Just general people who are cosplaying the same thing, and I think that's how people go from cosplaying to getting into the community. It's making that connection with the stuff that you're doing, because it's one thing to be like, oh, I admire the work that you did, or I admire how much you look like the character. It's another to be oh, I know we already have a connection because you are displaying a love for something that I also share. And that, at its peak, I think that's like the best the community can be. It's not always like that because, especially, I feel like it's harder now looking back on it than it was before, because you have to filter through so much to kind of get to that point. But my first exposure to being part of any community was years later when I got into the Fate cosplay community. If you guys know me, my most popular cosplay is Archer from the Fate series. And that wasn't my first like big Fate cosplay. It was a different one. It was the first cosplay I spent money on. It was the first high quality one I wore. It was the first one I wore to like a group shoot. And then the group I was with, we made a Discord, and it was like 20 or 30 people. And some of those people I'm still friends with to this day. But some of them I've also had falling outs with for general reasons that you come across in the community. It's easy to look at the community as this big collective, because I think in an extreme view, like I said, where we all just kind of want to cosplay what we love and share that connection with other people, that's kind of what the community is, question mark. But it's also like general anime fans divide it into separate categories. It's divided into separate fandoms. It's divided into people with different expectations, different wants, different desires, and that's all fine, as long as like we can all kind of still come under the umbrella of, we're just doing this because we like to and we want to meet more people, make more connections through it. That's kind of how I see what the community is supposed to be. And to answer your question before, what is it like as a male cosplayer? It's easier. It's definitely easier than I think what a lot of women need to go through, especially women of color. And I've spoken about this a couple of times, both publicly and in group chats, where if you want to look at it in extremes, I think it's safe to say men get less exposure in the cosplay community, but because of that, they also have to deal with less crap, like less harassment, less bullying, less shaming. So that's kind of the double-edged sword, where I think trying to figure out the best way to like articulate this because it's so loaded. There is a bit of frustration where I feel like there aren't as many eyes on male cosplayers as female cosplayers, and I try to promote everybody that I see. But at the same time, I do want to promote non-male cosplayers just as much, if not more, because I know that, especially when they reach a certain threshold of exposure, I hate when I see the numbers go up. I'm like, there's probably at least 20% of those comments are probably hate, and they don't deserve that at all. Whereas if a male cosplayer blows up, assuming they're not problematic, because there's also a really upsetting amount of popular male cosplayers that are problematic.
Yes, there are.
I hope
There
to.
are. Ooh.
I'm glad that I've accumulated a sort of following. I expect all of them, every single one of them, to hold me accountable if I ever seem to walk down that path, because God no, I want to be, to bring it full circle, I want to be the kind of cosplayer that continues to facilitate that main idea of how welcoming the community should be for everybody. That, like, sure, like clout can be nice, sure, like connections are nice, but at the end of the day, it's like, I just want to see what you guys create, and I hope you'll like what I create, and vice versa. That's really just how it should be. And people joke, they call me king sometimes in like comments and stuff like that, and so I turned that around. I'm like, okay, a king is somebody that some people think like, oh, a king is somebody that is their followers. I'm like, no, a king is somebody that's supposed to be there for their followers. Like, if I learned that from Fate, ironically, like, if you can't set a good example, if you can't show that you can be there for the big and the little person in the extremes of the community, then you're not making it better. And if you don't want to make it better, fine, because there are some people that don't want to make it better, and I guess that's technically their right. But personally, pretentiously, I want to try to make things as best as I can. Basically, I want people to feel as welcomed as I did at that initial meeting when I first got into the community.
I 100% feel that, because that's actually one thing that I kind of miss from the late 2000s versus now, is that it was so much more easier to get that sense of community at conventions earlier on. And now, even now, like, you can find people that are genuinely there and want to find people and build that sense of community. But where we are now is, it's a little bit more difficult, I would say, just because it isn't just small little pockets anymore. Or I don't even know how to articulate it. It's still pockets, but those
pockets are bigger, and like,
yes,
sometimes the goals of those individual pockets,
and they're starting to overlap a lot more than they did before.
Like, they'll overlap with each other, but they'll also overlap with other fandoms, other communities, which on paper is good.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw a bit of this a few weeks ago, where like sometimes, like, I'm happy when celebrities will cosplay. I'm like, oh, that's great, because I still have to kind of explain to people at my job or people in my family, like, hey, I'm gonna wear cat ears for like 2 hours. Is that okay?
Is that okay?
Well, not like, is that okay, but like, be okay with that, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter like what you say about it. I mean, unless I'm at work or something. But it's that idea of kind of like how anime in general is becoming more normalized. That's good. Some people don't want that, and I get why, because the downside of that is, oh, cool, we're overlaying with other communities and other groups of people, and even the mainstream in to a lot of extents. But there are two problems with that I think people kind of feel threatened by. One is that tight, small knit community feeling is kind of getting lost. And what used to be, I think a lot of people still value that idea. Oh, anime and cosplay, it's like, it's me and my friends thing, it's like the thing that brought us together. And I don't want that to be ruined, basically. And that's fair, because that gets into the other thing of, as we start seeing overlaps with other communities, any issues or drama from those other communities spills in. And then when the
You
lines
see that
get
a lot
blurred,
with makeup enthusiasts.
we saw that a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
with that viral tweet that went up. And I commented on that, where it's like, I hate that, but I also feel bad for people in the beauty community that see that, and see how like upset people understandably were at the way the situation was handled. I don't want people to look at that and be like, oh, well, now I don't want to get into cosplay because I don't want to ruin the beauty community or something like that. And people feel that way vice versa about the cosplay community. So yeah, it is, like with everything, a double-edged sword. The bigger things get, the easier it is for it to, like, the bigger the bubble gets, the bigger the pop, basically. The more things can pop it. And there's that, I understand where that sense of self-preservation comes from. And I'm kind of in the middle, where it's like, I want more people to get into it because it's fun. And if people find enjoyment in it, that's great. But whenever I see tweets like that or drama like
It's
that,
like,
so
I
I'm
don't
like,
want them to come in the
God
community,
damn it.
right? Like, just come here. Like, just don't get on Twitter. Just don't.
Yeah.
I would love it if more people would. I think it's snowing. Sorry.
Oh, I'm jealous.
No, that's fine.
Anyways, I would love it if more people would get into cosplay without dragging in drama from other communities. And that's actually the thing that I miss, is just that overlap, not like the overlap not existing, so we don't have that stuff being pulled in. But I love that I've met so many people in so many different places now because of how much more diverse the people have become with coming together and making costumes and just enjoying the convention sphere because of their love for this stupid little fandom that they like. I don't know.
I think one thing that I wished when I first entered a community was that just because you cosplay from the same fandom doesn't mean everyone's going to be your friend. And because it can be very encouraging to see like other people, especially if it's a very niche fandom, like I don't know, Tales of or Nier and Jack and Gar. You guys can name other series like that. But so when drama happens, everyone pretty much knows about it. And so like I've actually had like a rude awakening like a few months ago that I had to start like putting up boundaries and things like that. And I kind of wish someone told me beforehand, like, it's great that you're meeting other people in the community that love the fandom as much as you. That's one of the great things I like about the cosplay community, is that like I don't really have a lot of people I can nerd out over video games with, and like cosplaying has given me that like outlet and let me meet other people, like not only through video games but also through cosplay. That's how I met these three. And so like it's just a shame that like you can't trust everyone, even if you have like the same interests and things like that. So
Yeah,
So-
one of the questions that I have written here is what advice you would give your baby cosplay self, and just building off of that, my specific advice would be just to not be as trusting of every single person, even if they seem like they're genuine, because unfortunately, with the moving towards people getting more eyes on them and trying to build followings, you do end up with people who will take advantage of skills that you have to offer and any kindness that you have to offer. And like that was true before, and it's true in any part of your life. But with people because people in the cosplay community, when they do decide that they want to take that step into building a following, they're building that following to compete for opportunities. And I think some people, when they get into that competitive mindset of competing for opportunities, they don't realize they're stepping over people to do it, because they're just like, I got to do it. I'm going to win. And you shouldn't be thinking about it that way at all.
Well, that's kind of a tricky. I know what you're saying. That is actually kind of a tricky mindset, because there are people. I know everyone has mixed feelings about this. People trying to establish a brand or a following and stuff like that.
I think it's great that cosplayers are starting to do it.
I agree.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I just have ran into a couple of people that definitely will take advantage of like art trades, or well, I guess that just encompasses any kind of art trade or any kind of skill trade. And that's what I particularly mean is like, guard yourself against that, because some people will take advantage of you being willing to share your skill with them if they are offering the same thing, because they're not always going to make good on their promise.
Yeah, that I understand. If we're talking about like the specific examples of people being used, like, hey, let's collaborate on this, we see the numbers, and then I'll never talk to that person again. I think we've all kind of either seen or experienced that at some point. It really is a tricky, working in social media. I say this as somebody who's only just recently come to terms with the fact that working in social media is something that I actually want to do, like as a profession, because I have other outlets like YouTube and stuff like that, and other brands that I'm trying to build. It's really frustrating to think, oh, I might be taking opportunities away from other people in a general market sense. Like if a brand reaches out to you, chances are they filtered through other people and said no to them to get to you. And there are some brands that won't look at you unless you have X number of followers or X number of engagements. So I can understand trying your best to market yourself in a way. This is the trap everyone falls into. Market yourself in a way that gets you that exposure, and it's hard. But don't be super transparent about it in the sense that like you're sorry, my dog is barking.
Oh, no, you're okay.
There are some people that will discard who they are to get that, when in my mind, and maybe this is my stubbornness, there should be a compromise between stepping outside your comfort zone and trying new things. Let me hold on. I'm sorry.
You're good.
You're good.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there.
But there might be.
There might.
It's the demons.
How do you
Remember?
how do you know for sure that there's not something there? We just don't.
Could be a reason now.
It's
He's
so much fun, like editing out. And
This is just gonna hear it and be like,
It's
"Oh, there's the dog
literally
again." And he
so
just
much fun.
edited it out.
you're making extra work for me. I have to.
Very sorry about that.
It was what advice you would give, because I totally want to piggyback. Oh my god, on that point, about like figuring out like who are your friends or not, because there's always a list story time behind everything. I have a relevant story for everything.
Before you do your story time, could I make a clarification really
Oh, yeah.
quick? There's nothing wrong with taking opportunities. Like, I want people to take every opportunity offered to them if it's a good one. My issue is when people start using those opportunities to step over people, because when they start doing that and they start taking things from people, that is stealing opportunities, because they didn't actually get themselves to the point where they take it, or where they earned it themselves. Does that make more sense?
Yeah,
I realized I did not explain that well enough, and I was like,
I
"Oh,
know,
that
I
makes me
think-
sound like
I
an
mean,
asshole."
No, I get what
like,
you're
pretty much it.
I feel like it's the same philosophy
Yeah.
with cosplayers in general, collaborating with cosplayers of higher followings just to get that exposure, that opportunity, just so they can get their names out there. Same with opportunities. You should be able to balance out the people that have been with you since day one and the people that you're meeting now that might have more of a following, and the sponsorships and opportunities that come to you at the same time. Like, you should have that humility, and you should be able to maintain that humbleness as well. Like, that's not just being a good cosplayer, that's just being a decent human being. So
Yeah,
Some people don't
I
want to do
think
that.
every profession that I have ever like had some exposure to, there is some tenet or some philosophy in there that's just like, you need to be humble, you need to express humility in what you do, and that is really important.
There is an
But
opposite
Liz,
side to that, though.
yeah,
Like,
go
you can
ahead and
be
have your story time,
humble.
Liz.
You can be humble, but be careful to not make yourself, like, reduce yourself. I swear, my kid.
Yeah, do not
Um,
reduce your skills or undersell yourself through
I do
humility.
that a lot. I undersell myself, like,
You
a
do, you really
fuck
do.
you
And
really do, Liz.
And I do, and it's. I'm sorry, it's the hidden secret of Liz. Like, my kryptonite,
Liz is
man.
making me a bow, and I'm so fucking excited
Stop
about
that.
it. I'm like, I am behind on planning the costume, but it'll be okay because Liz is gonna have the bow.
It's gonna take forever. Don't worry.
It's okay. My costume's gonna take forever. The
It's
snow
gonna
will melt,
take
and I'll be like,
forever.
God damn it, I have to wait until
No,
next
no
year.
one's gonna notice with the way that the state of the world is in. Like, I don't even realize
I
that like
craft at
9
the
months have
speed of a
passed and we've
glacier,
basically been
so
in a dystopian horror movie. So anyway,
I literally craft at the speed of a glacier. So we were talking about what advice would we give your baby cosplay self, and I'm telling you, I guess if I could go back in time, I would be like, yo, don't. So story time, yay. So like I started off on Instagram. I don't think that's a little known fact. That's where I was. Like, I started there, and then I kind of refused to be on Twitter for a long time because I was just, I don't know. I laugh. I say maybe I'm like a boomer.
Same hat, Liz.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm a boomer because I didn't join Twitter until. Let me look. What is it? What's my join date?
I only joined
January.
because it was
Yeah, it's
required
January.
for a course in college.
Wait,
What? Okay, hold up. What?
what?
I only joined Twitter because it was required for a course I took in college.
I
That
believe
was
that.
What course
Yeah.
was this? What
was-
required you to graduate to get a Twitter
Is that
account?
what we doing now?
like I think you can go, if you go far back enough on my Twitter, you might find some of my old assignments. But
Huh.
I had to submit my assignments via Twitter for my writing
The
for
fuck?
social media class. And so
Oh, okay.
it was like, specifically for writing for social media. And this is why I'm so organized with the outlines and stuff. I organized an entire class of 20 plus people, and we wrote an entire Wikipedia page together because I split up the work, and I was like, well, this is what we're doing because I'm not going to let you guys fail me, because the entire class got 1 grade for that one project.
Uh, uh,
I was like, I'm not gonna play I won't be in charge. I was like, no, I'm in charge, guys. We're doing this. This is the topic. You guys get this
Couldn't be
chapter.
me.
You get this chapter.
Go
We're
for a
gonna have
grade.
it submitted by this time. That way you guys can go get drunk on spring break, and I will do all the editing on spring break at grandma's. I was type A for that class. I was not gonna fail.
couldn't be me. Could not be me. Like, I'm sorry. Could not be me. So like I joined Twitter, and this is candid this time because I'm always like pretty candid about my experiences on Twitter. It's you know, so I joined and I kind of just, you know, stay quiet, just kind of followed a few people, followed the cosplay tag, and so at the time I was like looking for more black cosplayers, right? I was like, oh man, you know, like I want to join my people. Yeah, so I wanted to join my people, and you know, I followed a few black cosplayers. I like joined a few like discords or whatever, and like, you know, I settled in the community because I just kind of want to see more representation. I do a lot of crafting on Instagram, but the algorithm has always been a hot ass mess since I've been on it, which has been years. So, you know.
I think we
And
can all agree that we found I feel like we found more of a community on Twitter. At least
Oh
that's
yeah.
I seriously feel like
The only
I
exception is the disability community. It is thriving on Instagram just because
I believe
there are
it.
people who are more nonverbal who just do better with photos. So that is the only
That's
community on
good.
Twitter that I found that has actually felt like one.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, I didn't mean to
believe
interject that. It was
Oh,
like,
no,
cool.
Yeah,
I
me
need to
too.
get that thought
No,
out
no,
there
no, that's
because I
fine. I'm
forgot
glad
about
that they're
that.
doing well.
It's like
I
That's
am-
I've met some pretty amazing people through disability Instagram and even disability Twitter. Like they are on it,
I mean, you can
and
always sprinkle
it's
like
good.
into the story time because you know. But
like
I definitely like came on there for a while, and you know, I tried to fit in. I have like this. I'm socially awkward, so like I try to fit in. It doesn't sound like it because you know, a text. I guess I feel like in text I'm more able to be more like vocal. Like I express myself better in text versus like you know talking, right? Talking is like a whole nother like process apparently that just doesn't catch up to a lot of the things that I feel like I mean. So uh, so I kind of, you know, tried to like fit in, and I kind of didn't. But one of the biggest incidents that, like, so basically, the advice that I would give my baby self is when have certain expectations. Like, don't always expect to like fit in with your what you think your chosen group is on Twitter, because there's always a what is it? What is it? Like a menagerie of personalities. And so like when I got on to like Black Twitter and you know I thought like everybody was all cool, I found out that not everything is cool in Black Twitter land. Like especially in Black Cosplay
not
Twitter land.
rainbows and sugar
Everything
and
I,
is
sprinkles.
not cool. Like I got smacked up because um when I started using it more and more, it was around Craftchella time, and I ended up getting in a disagreement with somebody on Twitter, which is I did the cardinal sin of Twitter things, which is responding to somebody and getting into a fight with them. Like, just don't do it. Like, you know, if you feel like you're being combative and you feel like you're about to be combative with somebody, just like either exit left or just, you know, don't reply or just turn
If
off
you feel like an
notifications.
argument isn't going anywhere on any social media
Just don't
platform, just
argue.
leave it.
Yeah, just
Block the
Just
person and leave it.
close the
just
window.
don't you don't
Bye.
even have to you
Before
don't even have to
before you
block
can
them.
even
You can just mute them if you're just kind of feeling
Sure.
like you don't want to hear anything from them right now, but you don't really necessarily dislike them. You just like, you know, zip it. Like I made the cardinal sin of fighting with somebody on Twitter. Never do that. Like just, you know, I that's my advice for like anybody getting into it. It's just like, you know, you feel like it. There's like a tink, you know, like a dark voice in the back of your head, like Dark Kermit that's like, do it. Right? Don't do it. So I got into a fight with somebody because it was over the Craftella thing. One of the mutuals that I follow got into the lineup. Actually, a really cool person, very crafty, like you know. And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And I got into the lineup, and you know, there was that whole controversy for anybody that kind of just either wasn't on the internet at the time or just kind of didn't. There was like the whole controversy about the lineup not having enough POCs. To be honest, it was just not having enough black people. That's what it boiled down to because there was POCs in there. And I'm being candid. Somebody not gonna like it, but that's true. It is true. There was, you know, POCs on the actual original guest list, like Yaya Han and a couple other ones. It led to a fight, and I ended up getting talked down to by all of their followers, like all of them, and some of them were white, and it was infuriating being told as a black person. I hate doing that, but as a black person, it was infuriating being told how to be a black person. Like you know, like I apparently because I disagreed, I didn't relate to the struggles or anything. And you don't know anything about me. This is the beauty of the internet is you don't know anything about the person, right? So like it's easy to assume, you know, that the other person grew up somewhere or didn't understand anything or didn't struggle or whatever. And I got so worried as a baby cosplayer, right? Because my end goals is like this. Like, my goal in cosplay is I like to craft. And I also kind of like the attention. I like the craft and I like the attention. I like sharing things with people. And everything, the thing about the cosplay community is your reputation is everything. Like,
Mhm.
everything. Like, people don't think about it. Like, I wonder if people think about it when they go off half cocked on Twitter sometimes. Like, your reputation as a cosplayer is everything. When people go to do sponsorships or look at guests things, they're looking at your Twitter feed. Like, they're looking to see what you're doing. Like, they're looking to see what you're posting. It's like your reputation is everything. So, like, I was scared because I didn't want my reputation to come off as someone who didn't agree with other black people, or like, I it was kind of, scary to me as someone who's a smaller creator. This person had like twice, like probably triple the amount of followers that I had, so it was kind of scary to me dealing with that and having their followers like attack me. And they weren't necessarily right, like in attacking me, but I backed off the argument because I didn't want to risk getting canceled for anything. And so, what my advice is to my baby self and to other cosplayers is always keep your goals in mind and be mindful of what communities you're getting into. Like, Black Cosplay Twitter, there's some great people in there, but some of them, no. Like, N-O, capital N-O. Like, they're in it for the clout, some other shit. Like, just be careful who you're getting into it with. I'm not saying that you can't be with whatever race or ethnicity or gender or pronouns or whatever that you want to be with. Just be mindful to, like, not be as trusting, right? Like, not be distrusting, but just be mindful of who or what community you're getting into.
Know your boundaries.
And know your boundaries.
Boundaries
it's
are
okay
really
to
important.
know is a complete sentence. Like, you don't owe I hate to say it, but you really don't owe anybody on this freaking bird app shit. Like, if you don't want to share their shit, you don't have to share your shit. You want to share their shit because you like their stuff, not because you feel like you have to. At any point that this becomes a job, it's not fun for you anymore.
There was a point on Twitter that I probably was on like 4 different group chats on Twitter that were just like sharing group chats where to boost your reach, and it just got to a point where like I just left like 3 out of 4 of them. I just stuck with the one that I am in with the 3 of them, because that was the one group chat where I feel like everyone was there to just kind of have fun, like people
We also talk. Like, we don't just link the post in there. We're all like, hey, whatever, even if it's like, 1 to 2 weeks or whatever.
Rachel every morning says, "Good morning. I hope you guys have a great day."
It's like the morning announcements. It just sets me for the day, even when I'm dying inside.
It's like waking up. I don't have to play Animal Crossing every day because I can just open my phone and I have my little pocket Isabel.
Oh, okay, Rachel, if you're watching this, you should cosplay as Isabel so you can do that.
Do the morning announcements.
But that's like how it is in our group chat. Like, the only one that I'm actually in for like cosplay is like, even if we don't talk, it's very, there's no pressure in there. Like, sometimes I don't think we talk for like a week or whatever, and then we're like, hey, how you doing? How's everybody going? Like, how's your job? Like, how's your finals? Like, we've been sitting here watching like probably pull her hair out, for like a week and a half,
Yep.
That's the advice. Like,
that's true friendship right there. If you guys are still around to see me suffer.
But that's
and probably retweet 20 pictures of Korean men on my feed, and I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
So
let's just moving on along to the next point, because we spent a lot of time on getting into it.
I think we covered some of this too, because I'm looking at the
we did.
And it's like, how do you get involved without conventions and like finding an online community? And we talked about finding an online community.
Yeah. Okay. So we
and
can just
finding
talk
friends and
about
doing collabs and well, I don't think we talked about collabs, I guess, but
no.
finding
I can
friends.
briefly touch on that. I've been trying to set up collaborations with people during this pandemic time, and one of the things that I've been setting up is just doing photos so that, and one, this is like the most accessible way to fucking do this too, to do collaborations, is to take your photos separately, because then you don't have to worry about being on the other person's time, and then just photoshopping yourself together,
I
or
mean,
like
that's what I'm about to
shittily
do in
photoshopping
pre.
yourself onto
Like
different
that's what I'm about to do in pre.
I am actually doing collabs with both Liz and AJ. I've already shot Tataru. Once I get my ass out of finals hell, I will finally shoot freaking Judy.
I'm
Yep.
shooting Fable
Raymond's here.
tomorrow.
I'm waiting.
I have a Diana that I have not worn yet. I commissioned the ears for
You did not
Halloween.
tell me this.
I got the ears from Black Betty Cosplay, I think is who I commissioned
Oh my
them from.
gosh, you're gonna look so pretty as
I just have to dye my little bangs still.
I'm
Get
still
this
trying to
stupid
get like a
purple
collab with Babu, and I do want to get a collab with AJ one day. Like, so I'm getting around this circle. I just move at the speed of.
all four of us should do a
sound.
collab together.
All of us should be
Things are
Mercy.
open.
Should all
I'm
be
much more
Mercy.
willing to collab like now than I was a few years ago. I kind of kept to myself a lot more years ago and only started interacting with people kind of in the last 2 to 3 years,
I mean,
for
that's
better
good.
and for worse. But no, I'm always down. It's always just hard to schedule and get people on like the same timeline, the same like cosplay is also expensive. So the odds of everybody having something that they can cosplay from like the same series or franchise is not as easy as we would like it to be.
Mm.
No, not especially not now, because at
Yeah.
least with cons we had like the opportunity to like oh, we could just meet up at the con and like have our lineup or whatever.
Nope, we gotta use Photoshop and
No, we gotta use Photoshop and our imagination.
You don't have to use Photoshop. You can post your photos side by side. You can do TikToks.
But the illusion.
The illusion.
But my
we are
immersion.
together, but we're not.
But we're not.
But my immersion. Okay. And then our trend queen, because on Atlanta it's like
Why you
a
gotta
for
bring this
trends.
up? I've been trying
Because
to.
our trend queen.
Our trend queen.
Okay, I want to get something out of the way. So, because every time someone like calls me out for like my trends and stuff, like, oh, thanks, but like, I feel like initially people might think like, oh, she's just doing trends just to boost up her numbers or for reach and things like that. I don't want that. Like, I want people to realize like I'm starting them because it's either because of personal stuff that's going on with me, and I want people to kind of resonate with that, and that's where most of the trends come from. um and this is like separate from trends, but like when I think of collabs, collab with people that you vibe with well. Don't collab with people in hopes that you think the collab will give you traction or reach or any of that. Do it because you want to have fun.
I think
So.
I did. What did I do? It was a couple months ago. I just did like cosplay selfies, and it was like con cosplay selfies or whatever, and like that took off for no apparent. Like I was just like, why is this taking off? Like what?
It's
like,
always the selfies or the shitty cell phone photo that
Or the-
does well, and
or-
not the
because that's
one
what
that
we
you
have
paid
readily
for.
on hand, man. It's like, I mean, I don't know.
The one post that did well on Twitter for me was the cosplay versus character thing with May. Anytime I post her, people just go crazy. I'm just like,
because they're so cute.
Mhm.
Come on, stop. Like
You're the
come
cutest.
on,
I'm a potato.
What?
We will not accept that slander in this household.
No.
Not a potato.
No.
No pre-slander in this
I'm
house.
about
No
to get off
lies.
today. When we get off of this freaking Zoom, you guys can like form your opinion then.
So, Babu, because we're at 6:55. This is the extra special long episode today. Did we want to open up the Q&A?
Yeah, sure. We can
Absolutely.
open that
Now,
up.
or do you want to
And
just kind of like talk about something else a little bit first? Because I think we talked about navigating, like we kind of all talked about navigating like relationships and kind of, yeah. Because I'm like looking at our outline and it's like we kind of talked about how to like deal with interpersonal relationships because we did talk about that, like being careful about and being open. Um, we did talk about how to get involved without conventions. Uh, we didn't talk about social climbing, so we could probably after establishing a friendship and making sure that you
yeah,
have
we
social
can
boundaries.
touch on that really quick.
Um, so like, hey, you meet a friend, right? And you think everything's like all good and stuff, but it's like, how do you establish like personal boundaries? And I'm not the greatest person to talk about this topic because I have issues with like establishing boundaries. I feel bad for saying no. So,
I feel
um,
that.
like I feel bad for saying no or not being able to commit. Like I'm very much like a giving person. Like when I say I'm gonna do something or whatever, or like if I commit then I'm doing something, like I kind of really commit. So it's like stop doing that. Um, but like I want to open it up to you guys. It's like how do you establish your personal boundaries and like how do you have for some of the new people like how do you think you could avoid someone using you to social climb? Like how some people use you for like cloud, like they do a collab with you, and it's like how do you deal with that? What's the you know best way to deal with that?
For me, with just establishing personal boundaries in general, I will straight up just tell someone if I'm uncomfortable. I had someone, I don't remember what they saw, but they commented on me being sexy, and I was like, bro, no, that makes me uncomfortable. I do not like when people talk to me like that. And I just am very upfront about it. And unfortunately, that's kind of what you have to do when you establish boundaries is just be upfront with people with what you are and are not cool with. And obviously that's an extreme example, but even with
Irrelevant.
other like with friendships, I will verbally tell them, "Hey, that's too much. You need to give me space here." Or, "Hey, just because you see me posting here doesn't mean that I have the time to respond to you all the time." And I'll also just ignore people to give myself that space, but that's the best way that I found for establishing boundaries for me.
It's one of those things where people will, everyone has their own idea in their head of what they think is standard appropriate behavior. So, and it's hard. Scratch that. It's very easy to forget that, oh, what I think sounds fine, this person could find insulting or off-putting. And it's just a matter of respecting when somebody comes forward and saying, hey, please don't do that, or hey, refer to me like this instead of this, or like she said, you need to kind of put your foot down and establish how far you want your circle to go and clearly mark it in the ground with chalk. Like, okay, this is how close you're allowed to get to me unless I say otherwise. And if anybody says, you cut them out. Nice and simple.
Yep. Yeah, you can't even if they are willing to overstep that boundary after you have established it, they have no respect for you. So
Absolutely.
why would you keep them in your life anyways? Why would you give them any of your attention? You're only here for such a short while. Why would you give any attention to someone that is not going to respect you?
Exactly. And that's maybe the positive spin on the whole idea of like being around people that can prop you up. Be around people that want to see you succeed and won't burn the ladder behind you as you're climbing up it, basically.
Like
Exactly.
like cultivating your own, you know, like when you come on the Twitter or you start doing your social media stuff, like cultivating who you want to see around you. So like whether that's being picky and choosy about who you follow, right? Like you're
Mhm.
cultivating the kind of people you want to see. Like so followers come and go, right? But like, you know, it's all about being genuine too. Like you want to surround yourself with the people that, you know.
And it takes
And
time for people to find those things out about themselves. You
but
you
then
got to
like
be
how do you
willing to.
deal with them being like so like if say for instance you just put your foot down, right? And then they're like, "Well, you're just being a bitch or an asshole." It's like you're being stuck up or whatever. And I don't know cuz I kind of feel like maybe people might feel like I'm stuck up or whatever. I don't know. I always internalize shit. So it's like I'm pretty standoffish about stuff. Like it's not necessarily like you may not know my like boundaries, right? But I typically tell you like I don't, you know, share stuff. Like if I want to share your stuff, I'll share your stuff. If I want to like your stuff, I'll like your stuff. I'm not going to do it because of bribes or whatever. I do it because I genuinely like you, right? I
Mhm.
feel like we fall into that trouble, you know, where people are like, well, you know, oh, you're being a bitch, and it's like, no, I just don't want to tolerate your shit. Like, it's
Well,
Honestly,
just, you
I
know,
like it when like people like friends in general. And this is I feel like I've had this conversation this week about like distinguishing between your mutuals and your friends. Not
That
everyone
is there's a huge
is your
difference between being a mutual and a
not
friend.
everyone believe put drill this in your minds. Not everyone you're mutuals with is your friend, because the people that will stick by you not only will hype you up for support, or like they will also be the ones to give you constructive criticism, or will call you out on your shits just so you can improve from it, not to tear you down. So
well, I think
Mhm.
it's actually funny what Lisa said, like how about internalizing that, because it's very easy when somebody says something with such confidence and such wherewithal. It's very easy to be, because I had this problem for the longest time. It's part of the to be a little personal. It's part of the reason why I've been going to therapy for like the past year. It's very easy to have a default be, oh, I must be wrong. Like, I must be the problem.
right? It's
Um,
like, cause that's the thing.
because, but that's not addressing the fact that a lot of people will say things or do things under the pretext of, oh, but I'm doing this for you. I'm saying this to compliment you. I'm doing this to build you up. But if that was really true, then how come you lash out when it's challenged? If your goal is to be genuine, then wouldn't wouldn't what you do be dependent on how the other person reacts? Like if I want to compliment somebody and I say, oh, I avoid saying this, but just for argument's sake, especially if I don't know the person, if I go up to somebody and say, oh no, here's a better example, because I do have a friend that's like this. Um, so usually if I'm close with somebody or I consider them friends, I'll give them a hug as a greeting. I think a lot of people are like that. I have a friend that doesn't like to be hugged at all unless they specifically say they want to be. Um, if someone's reaction to something like that is, oh, but I'm just trying to be nice, or oh, then I guess you're not really my friend, that is you making the conversation about how you feel. Your genuine is looking out for somebody else, not putting your feelings above or putting your expectation above how somebody genuinely feels in the moment. So if somebody reacts that way negatively, then I think it's safe to say they don't have your best interests at heart, because they're not willing to even entertain the fact that, oh, I might be in the wrong, I'm sorry. That's how I think that's something that's kind of been lost. Bring it back before about the community getting bigger, where it's that prioritizing how I personally feel over how this can potentially bleed out and affect other people. We don't have enough people, not you guys, you guys have been great, but I think we kind of see, I think the thing that separates people who want the community to improve or to generally look out for people and people who are just in it for themselves are those who aren't willing to listen aren't willing to compromise, aren't willing to say I'm sorry, and are not willing to be like, oh, I was probably in the wrong. Like if we had more people, ironically, whose knee-jerk reaction was, oh, I must have done something wrong, then things might probably be better. We'd all probably just get into a circle and apologize to each
Oh my
other
God, it'd be
over and over and over
It,
again.
it wouldn't be all over our TL.
Yeah.
It would not.
It'd be
Like-
Man,
it'd be
some
like,
of you
"I'm
guys need to
sorry."
put
No,
those
I'm
phones
sorry.
down after you guys have a fallout with someone. My
I told you
goodness.
that's what we need to do. It's like they just need someone to just smack the phone out of their hand, like
Just
stop
put
it,
it down.
just put it down. AJ's over here preaching. Like I just could listen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I could listen to
honestly,
AJ
like,
talk forever,
it's just,
honestly.
like, over here
No,
preaching.
you get sick of my voice very quickly.
No.
We're doing great, honestly.
Yeah, no, you have a
Honestly.
really good, you have a very strong way that you speak, and it's not commanding, but it draws attention, and it's
very,
nice.
eloquent. Like you come.
You
like,
are
your
very
word
eloquent.
Has
Oh,
like
thank you.
Weight.
You're
So,
welcome.
like we're like, yeah, preach. Like AJ's like real talking over here, and it's so good.
And since
so-
we're raining, like loving and just raining love on AJ, let's open up Q&A a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, you guys got some questions you want to ask him, like
While he's here.
while he's here.
I'm an open book. You can ask me anything.
So while we wait on like a question, I just want to say because I think I like said this. So we were talking about like who we wanted to guest, right? Because we were doing the planning for like Kigu talk. Oh, never mind. We got one. What is your absolute dream cosplay?
Yeah.
Like if you
A
had the
lot of
money and like the just unlimited skills, what would you build?
Jason Todd.
Oh my god.
Really?
Funny.
Yo.
He has been my dream cos. I have like a couple of things on my list, but for the longest time, he's been my dream cosplay because
I will be right back.
Where do you headed to?
he's one of my
He was so shocked
characters.
that they left.
she had to leave the room.
She was like, I can't take this anymore.
He's one of my favorite DC characters. I love Death of the Family, and like I love what he brought for the most part because of retcons and a lot of things. I love what he brought to the main series. I just love his style, but I calculated it and it would cost me for a good quality like jacket, chest plate, helmet, everything. I'm like,
drop that
Fuck,
coin.
Ooh.
How much
we're
is
looking
it?
like at least $800 and
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. You know that's not as bad
oh,
as I thought it
that
would
helmet
be.
looks so good.
I love Jason Todd so much. One of my assignments for that class, like the class that I had got the Twitter for, was I did an analyzing Jason Todd Tumblr where I went comic by comic post crisis and analyzed his personality and interactions with Bruce and Dick from the time he was picked up, jacking the tire, until his death.
Mhm.
I love that boy. Love him so
Oh,
much. I
He's
just had to,
such
like,
an
burn-
angry boy. I love him.
He's so good.
Is it
Got
bad
so much
that I feel
snark.
I'll put it on with the maid outfit. I can't actually put it on my head. It doesn't go on.
Oh, it's too
I just
small.
That
carry
would have
it.
been revolutionary, Bapu.
I know. If like when I cosplay Red Hood, I just tuck it under there. But I do have a domino mask that I wear with it. I have a Batgirl cowl.
You have the red domino mask.
Yeah, I do. I make domino masks out of leather. It's really fun. Actually.
Nice.
Is it
I
bad
have,
that I
like,
feel
his,
like $800 isn't a lot? Like I make my cosplays. And I
Okay.
Just don't even look. Like I don't even look at there's this some point where I like start with the cosplay and I'm like, oh, this is how much I'm spending, and at some point I just stop looking because it's embarrassing.
Once you start, you never look back.
I just
I-
don't look. I feel like Fayetteville is at least $600, but I don't want to know. I just don't want to know.
I need to put hard limits on myself because especially
That's
now that I
fair.
have like money, I could honest to God buy it right now and not be in any kind of financial
I have
trouble.
to be careful
at all.
because I'm not benefactoring myself anymore. I have someone who is benefactoring me, so I can't be like, you know what, I'm gonna go spend some money on fabric today. It's gotta go through somebody now. So I
AK,
can't.
if you do
Can't
get
that
your Red
anymore.
Hood costume, I'm going to throw on my Arkham Knight Harley costume and just follow you around. It'll be great.
That is fine. Hey, you don't even have to wait for Red Hood if you have Arkham Knight Harley. I've got Joker too.
Oh,
So
hell
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I remember that.
I need to do
Bro.
them again with like updated makeup.
I need to
Cause
do updated makeup for Harley if you want to do something, my guy.
I'd be totally down. I've got his, so I have his animated series costume, and I just got right before the pandemic hit. I got his red suit from the Joker movie, and I just haven't worn it yet. My brother has worn it more than me because it's such a nice suit. You could casually walk out with it to like a business meeting, and he has. And I'm like, I haven't gotten the
Oh,
chance
no.
to wear this yet.
I can feel the salt all the way from here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
But
make it happen.
but no, like if Jason Todd's definitely been up there. But if money was absolutely not an issue, I would even go a step further and wear the Arkham Knight armor.
The whole
Yes,
oh,
the
yeah,
Arkham
I
Knight
was
armor
like
is
looking at
so
that
sleek.
I
for a
just
friend.
rebought those games on Steam a couple of weeks ago because they were on sale. They're sitting on my PC. I'm like, fuck, that design is so good. Like, it's
is.
so good. Like the best thing to come out of the Arkham Knight games was that design. And I'm a little upset nobody like wears it anymore.
I
'cause
know. Like,
I
I
s-
love classic Jason, but I loved when everyone was doing the Arkham Knight versions.
There were some builders I followed who actually made the parts interchangeable so you could easily wear Arkham Knight, take off the bits, and
Yeah.
then be his version of Red Hood from the Arkham
That's
games. I'm
so
like,
extra. I love it.
It-
Oh my god.
yes,
People
but
were
I
Big
love
innovative
brain
as
it.
energy right
hell
there.
when the Arkham games came out. It was amazing.
Yep, and they're gonna we're gonna see that again when the new Batman game comes out next
I
year.
know. I have
I love how
some.
that
That's the
design
new
is
one?
based off of his new 52 design because I love his new 52 design and more people need to cosplay from it.
Yes, that's actually the version that I based my Jason Todd cosplay off of. Was the new 52 one?
Oh,
I
with
made
the
a
vest
belt.
and the hood?
Oh no. New 52 was before that. It
Oh,
was
okay.
you're thinking, oh, what are they calling it now? I don't fucking remember what they're calling
I'm
it.
thinking of his Outlaws design. It's not called Outlaws now.
It was Red
Um,
Hood and Arsenal.
It was
But
Red
it
Hood
was
Arsenal, then it became Red Hood, then it became Red Hood and the Outlaws, then Starfire left. Then I think it went back to being Red Hood and Arsenal, but
I can't fucking remember.
there's been so many different incarnations. I kind of fell off of everything once Rebirth
Mhm.
happened. I'm sticking to like the self-contained
That's the one you're
stories.
thinking of. It is the Rebirth.
Rebirth?
Yeah,
Oh,
Rebirth
okay.
is the one with the hood and the vest.
Okay.
That was the thing that I couldn't remember because I fell off around the time that Rebirth started. And
Which sucks because apparently Rebirth
I
has been
know.
doing better than what New 52 tried to do.
And I read some of the Rebirth stuff, but I just could not afford to keep reading it, and it is really good. But
It's a commitment. I feel the same way.
is.
I kind of fell into that headspace at a certain point, and this kind of ties into cosplay and everything, where it's like I needed to put stipulations on myself, or I would just keep siphoning money
Mhm.
to everything. So I limit myself to one big cosplay a year,
Yeah,
and then
that's what I had to
everything
do.
else, it's like makeshift stuff. Like this this wig I've had for like 6 years for a Bill Cipher cosplay, and I'm getting so much use out of it. I honestly had an idea the other day of if I wore this wig and the red suit for Joker, I could do a gender bent version of Panty from Panty and Stocking.
Oh my god, you
So-
could!
That's
Oh
why
my god,
so
that's
I'm-
some big brain energy right there. Oh my god.
Holy shit!
this year has forced me to be a lot more creative, and I'm very thankful for that.
I
So
think
it's
a
like
lot
one
of us
big
had to be
cosplay a
more
year,
outside
and
of the
everything else,
box.
it's like I guess budget cosplays, but they don't look like budget
No, they look
cosplays.
good. Your stuff always looks really.
I love when
finished.
people just come up with closet cosplays idea just
Mhm.
from like the get-go. Like they'll come up with an idea the morning up and then post it like the afternoon like
And
the
you're
same
just like,
afternoon,
where
and
did
I'm
you
just like,
get that
wow.
energy from?
Oh, my Gaston cosplay from like a few weeks ago, that was completely made up on the fly. I'm like, because I had that wig for Tulio that my friend styled, and I'm like, wait a second, I can just spend $10 on that belt, and that's how the cosplay gets made. And that's a good way. It's I've been on my toes a lot more during this past year. Ironically, because cons have not forced me to think in such like tight windows, I guess.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going to happen in 2021 or anything.
What's a con crunch?
I know. What is a con crunch? I
Con
don't
crunch.
remember. Never heard of her.
Never heard of
Google
her.
one.
It's
Megu
con crunch
asked-
is when you literally kill yourself for your art.
It
But it doesn't
is.
exist. It doesn't exist right now. So
Yes, let's enjoy this lull for a bit.
I know. It has actually been wonderful. I'm
Although I
looking
am
forward.
missing MagFest, because this is one thing I do regret, and we hit. I wanted to bring this up a bit before. I'm so mad that I can't go to MagFest because I was supposed to do Prince Naveen and Tiana cosplay with my friend.
Oh
and, like,
no.
he lives in DC, and I'm like,
That's
ah!
perfect.
Now I have to
still
wait.
Mad
Okay.
that Katsu. This was supposed to be my first Katsu next year. I've never
Oh,
We'll
So it's
we'll
supposed to be my
we'll go to
first.
Katsu together one day, Liz.
when
Uh,
it's only an hour away from me, so whenever it opens up again, I will be there.
We did have one question from Stardust Megu, and they
Yes.
asked what your favorite cosplay is.
Thank you, Todd.
I can't say favorite in like all encompassing.
What's your
Beyond-
favorite right now?
Well, right now, I guess if I was to say like my favorite quote unquote high quality cosplay, it'd probably be Archer. And I love wearing him. I just cannot wear him for too long. It's part of it is it's all leather and it rides in places that I'd rather not talk about. But it's I can only wear that for like maybe 3 or 4 hours at a time. If we're talking like casual cosplay, like I'll just put that on and go out and do whatever. It's a tie between Raymond and Prince Naveen, honestly.
My favorite is Prince Naveen, but I guess
My
I'm
favorite's
just, I don't
Raymond,
know,
but
I
I'm
guess I'm
biased, so,
I feel like
you
I'm
know.
just a little biased, right? Like,
That's fine. To be honest, and I don't think I've ever told this story. I technically had everything to cosplay Naveen for years. I just never did it or even had the idea of, oh, that's something I can do, until I watched Princess and the Frog with my girlfriend who had never seen it before. And I'm like, you got to see it. It's like the last 2D animated film Disney ever did. And once the movie was over, she's like, why haven't you cosplayed Naveen? I'm like,
She had the big brain thinking that
oh
day.
yeah, no, she is the big brain. She is the big brain of my life. And it's like, we both have those moments where we'll just say something and it's like, why have I never thought of that? We make that joke from the Fairly Odd Parents, we're two halves of a whole idiot. So then all I had to do was buy the vest. I did that, and it's like, wow, that was my first viral cosplay, I guess. It was the first post I ever did that got over 1,000 likes.
And then you had all the girls thirsting after you. Like, how do you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How does your
And,
girlfriend feel about that? Having like all these internet women being like, "Oh, man,
Oh, she's
you're
at the
so
front
hot."
door being like, oh no, she's at the front door with the checklist being like, okay, pay up, like I'll place in line. My girlfriend whores me out all the time. Like that's the understanding we have.
That's the way to be, man.
Yeah, no, we don't feel threatened by anything at all. Like we'll check with each other.
Yeah.
But it's very much like go ahead, like make out. I don't care. Go. It's very yes.
I know that can be kind of interesting, the dynamic between significant others, like where one is the cosplayer and one isn't, because then you like the certain amounts of attention that you get and everything.
No, absolutely, and I'll touch upon this a bit only because I think it does kind of create an interesting conversation, but I won't name specific people. The dichotomy between me and my girlfriend now versus the one, because this is my current girlfriend, Miguel, who I've been sharing on my Twitter and everything, and she's trying to be more active on Twitter to like promote herself as well. But the dichotomy between me and her is, especially not just with cosplay, but with like a lot of things, it's especially different compared to when it was with my ex, who was at that place where she blew up when we started dating, and I could kind of see where the blow up and the attention was kind of going and how it affected other things. So it's important to not lose sight of it. It got bad to the point where people that followed her didn't know that we were dating. Like there was no clear discrepancy with that. And it was a little bit frustrating, and that kind of led to the relationship breaking off. But it's when it comes to me and my current girlfriend and how I think relationships in general should be handled, it's if you don't have the confidence to like show out your significant other in that way, then how much confidence do you have in everything, you know?
It's not like just them having the security, like to not do anything. And in this day and age, it's like it's in addition.
No,
day
I
and
get
age,
that,
it's very,
and it's especially hard.
Mhm.
But at least we don't have that problem because there's that trust of we have our caveats that we don't share with anybody else. So when you have that stable ground, everything else just kind of looks superfluous in a way. Like there are some people that won't let their significant other do any shippy photos with other people, and it's like, why on that? Like why there? Like why is the line kind of drawn there compared to other things that are arguably much more problematic? It's I don't know. Me and my girlfriend have had long interesting conversations about this, but yeah, to answer your question, she loves the attention just as much as me, and will actively like whore me out to our friends or to other people. Like, you need a Naveen, like it'll be like those gifts where they hold up the animal, like, here you go.
You need a cat? Here, have it.
Yeah.
Who's next?
So it's fun, and I'm glad that I have a partner that's so comfortable with that, because I do like going out and collaborating with people, and basically just kind of doing as much self-expression as possible with everything. Hell, when I did those I don't know if you guys saw this, when I did those Tulio, the goth Tulio cosplay photos with my friend, we did some sort of suggestive stuff, like kind of leaning into the BDSM angle. My girlfriend was literally 3 feet away from us the whole time we were taking those photos. I know there are some people that are against that, but she was like, "Whoa, get closer."
Like, I don't feel your expression. You need to sell it. Like,
yeah. Like, I don't believe you.
I don't believe it.
Now. You need to sell it.
Yeah.
So we
And-
are. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. And then I just was wrapping up. So
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of gives you.
Yeah.
I just love my girlfriend. Like.
No, that's actually really
So
sweet.
much.
It's important
We
to
love
have
love.
like those healthy. Like, I don't know if we'll ever do like a half an episode or like a little snippet on it, but I think that's interesting with the significant others and dealing. Like, people are like, "Oh, I want to date a cosplayer," and it's like, you really don't. But
We don't.
You really don't.
That kind of if we want to tie it into everything else, it goes into that conversation of boundaries. It goes into that conversation of, well, what is your goal? Is your goal for novelty, or is your goal for connection, expanding, helping, supporting?
It's
basically.
all about
Mhm.
knowing what your expectations are going into it.
Because I guarantee you, I only seem as well adjusted as I do. At least partially because of her. Like my relationship with her, and even my relationship with like you guys and other people in group chats, I kind of see it as a standard that I'm like, oh, why can't this be the community just bigger, basically?
right.
And it's
Every day
hard.
of my life.
It's hard because not everyone is going to get along, and that's fine. Not everyone is going to come together on the same viewpoint, which again, you can apply to literally everything. But I wish more people were willing to, like, I think the biggest problem this community has is a willingness to, it's two things. One, it's a willingness to not admit that you might be wrong or you might have done something wrong and owning up to that. And you don't even have to own up to it in a big way, a simple, but when simply saying, oh, I didn't know that, I'll do better next time, feels like pulling teeth. It shouldn't. Like, I know for a fact I'm going to make mistakes and I will own up to them when I do
It's a very
them.
human thing to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I don't know what's clicking with some people. So
I mean, there are some mistakes that you kind of can't take back,
yeah.
but if it's a simple thing, like the example we gave before, calling somebody sexy is a compliment when they might not want that to be the case. Simply saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'll make sure not to do that next time. And then being conscious about, oh, there are other people who might be like this. Let me bear that in mind moving forward. Right. That's such a simple thing to do.
It really is.
Why is it so hard for so many people to do?
You can't.
Like,
just basic cost, like, human
that would alleviate
101.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard. It's too hard to do the right thing. That's what I've learned. Like, it should be.
That would alleviate like 80% of the problems that I think we have right now. The other 20% is like racism and fat phobia and all of this other stuff that can't really be. I am an optimist and I'll be like, hey, I can tell you why this is wrong if you somehow missed the memo of why this is wrong.
Somehow.
Like, I can have that talk with you. That
Did you go through 2020 with your eyes and your ears shut? Like,
yeah,
at this
and
point,
I'm not just talking about like the casual racism or the things that, okay, like maybe you just weren't aware that this was bad. It's like it's the Get Out racism that was shown where it's like, oh, like we're very nice and accommodating, but we also will say these subtle things that we might not know are seeped in racism or sexism or homophobia or anything. Like, I think those people can be educated and are willing to listen, but there are some people that just don't want to hear it, and it's like, okay, I look forward to the day that you drop off the face of the planet, I guess, because you're not contributing. Yeah, you're not contributing anything. Either don't contribute anything or contribute something good. If you're contributing something bad, I don't know why you're here or what your goal is, because
you're not worth being in the same space as us, basically.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound gatekeepy about that, but it's very much a thing where some people will just, I'm not talking about cosplayers, I'm talking about the anonymous comments that will just stir shit up for the sake of stirring up shit. And when you quote tweet them or share them, it's like, yes, this is my reason for existing, as sad as that is. But it getting back to what I said before, I never deal with that. I know that like you guys have probably had to deal with that. I know a lot of big cosplayers that have had to deal with that. I know a lot of sex workers that have had to deal with that. Megu, if you're still watching, God bless you.
honestly,
like God bless you.
Seriously.
But that's unfortunately never going to go away. But as long as far as like general interactions go, but as long as the community can have a good, that goes into the second thing, the community needs a good support base. It shouldn't just be similar people that have gone through similar things supporting each other. It should be everybody kind of having that common decency of, that's wrong, we should do something about that. Or, hey, this person's making great stuff but sucks at marketing themselves, we should do something about that. And just kind of going from there. Like, or if you don't, or you don't have to help pull people up, that, I mean, it'd be great if you did, but that's fine. Just don't burn the ladders as you're climbing them. Everybody might not have.
Like,
sorry?
we can all eat.
Yeah, we can all eat.
At the table. I know it's like a weird like analogy, but it's like we can all.
Well, I mean, the
table, we
idea
all
that
have
there
room
are
at the
only
table.
so many opportunities is just
Oh yeah, that's true.
incorrect because
Yeah.
opportunities are going to come every single day. There's enough there for all of us to eat if we just treat each other right and actually support one another. And like you said, try to lift up the people that need help being lifted up because there's so many talented people out there that just aren't
It
getting the
literally
attention.
it literally wastes no time to shout people out. It literally wastes no time to highlight good work. It's there are big influencers, and I won't say them, who I respect their work, and some even follow me, but I'm like, I never see you interact with anybody. And it's one thing if it's like, say, I don't know, Yaya Han or somebody that's running a business, and like you can't always separate yourself unless it's or promote something unless it's directly in your face. Other people aren't like that. And I won't hold everybody to that same standard, but no matter how big I get, and I'm saying this now because I want people to throw this in my face, like live, if I ever stop doing it. But I never want to stop doing the threads. I never want to stop sharing people. I never want to stop being like, oh, that's awesome. Like the Winx thread I did the other day. It's like, hey, a lot of people are angry right now.
I'm
Let's-
very
let's
angry.
make
nice
some
Winx
good.
stuff.
I'm
Yes.
very angry, but we're not gonna get into that because I feel like that's like a 15-minute conversation.
Though-
Yeah, no, it is.
The
But
Winx
like,
drama would make for a good episode on
Yeah,
fat phobia.
definitely. Oh
Like,
god.
it just, oh my god, like I just want 6 different transformations that I can go and see if I can like literally make.
There is
guys. And I want
nothing
a dark,
sparkly
gritty
or like
reboot. Stop it. Like, I don't want a dark, gritty reboot. If I wanted to watch Dark and Gritty, but like, you know, CW, then I watch Sabrina, which I actually really love Sabrina, and it's coming out.
Yeah,
in a few weeks,
it's.
and I'm like,
Did you see the preview
"Yeah!"
that dropped today? Where they're bringing. Yes, they're bringing back aunties.
And so, you know, I'm just saying, like,
But
I'm
it
so
works
mad
for
about it.
Sabrina. It doesn't work for Winx Club because
It
Winx
doesn't.
Club, like with Sabrina, there is this like ridiculous sense of the occult and then the normal life mixing into it that them doing more gritty to lean into the occult there while keeping the high school stuff more like normal
I mean,
CWS.
it just works for them because that's
It
like,
works for
it's
so
already,
well, but it does
because
not
already
work
worked
for.
Sabrina, but it didn't work for Winx Club, which is generally like happy.
No, it's not-
but guys,
Yeah.
Riverdale.
I know.
And bump Riverdale, but
That's
so,
apparently doing well. It's always that frustrating thing of to bring it in to loop it back to cosplay. It's always one of those things where just because something has a lot of engagement, has a lot of attention on it, doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It's unfortunate that just kind of, and I also do YouTube work, so I see this a lot there too. That's also just kind of how the machine works sometimes, unfortunately, where people want the drama, they want the blood, I guess. And it's like, okay, that has a time and a place, but can we also just see that same amount of support for people just doing their best?
that's kind of why I started the trends too, because I was so tired of seeing people like getting their reach off of hot takes and drama. Like the cosplay community should not be like this. We're all here to
No.
be nerds and dress up. Like what's not clicking?
My Prince Naveen cosplay was the first one that went viral, but it wasn't my first viral post. I had 3 other viral posts that were calling out racists. Or do you guys remember that Mirko controversy around the dub voice actress from My Hero Academia?
Oh, they were like, she doesn't sound black, but she's
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
My comment on that was the
like,
thing that went viral, and
they were
it's like,
it's not a black actress, and it was just I hate it. That's
No, yeah, that's the thing. I made a whole video on that, but it's one of those things where I looked at the
Mercy.
numbers on that. And I'm like, awesome. My cosplays are never gonna get this amount of engagement, are they? And a part of it
that
is,
happens to me every time. I'll like go and I'll be like, hot take, delicious hot take here, and then I'll post like, I mean, I get it. People are probably getting really tired of Fayetteville, and it's the last big project.
I
I'm
will
making.
never get tired of your fail.
"Ah."
Like if anyone's worried of like they're over posting a certain cosplay, don't be. There's a reason why you're probably posting it like every other week. I do it.
Oh, I feel
And
bad
I
for
guarantee you,
posting
not everyone has
cosplay.
seen it too, because
Yeah.
it's just so awful. Post it 5 million times, because I guarantee you, after 5 million times, not everyone's seen it still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually just post the candid pictures if they like the really goofy ones that nobody ever really sees that are not the professional quality ones.
I feel no
Um,
shame about reposting stuff because sometimes you just kind
You
of gotta
just
feed the
gotta.
machine sometimes and create a buffer for other make time for other cos. I'd love to do new cosplay every week. I'd love to.
Can't.
Pay me and I can do it if you really want to see that, but I can't. So for
maybe
now,
you
I'm just
drop
going
that-
to
drop that, like,
I'm going to
goofy
internalize that and be like, okay, let's have the next cosplay be. It actually hit me the other day. Oh, I haven't cosplayed an anime boy in months. Like a lot of it's kind of been from cartoons, but I never cosplayed from cartoons for a while. So it's always a good opportunity to try something new
Man,
and inventive.
can I
Mhm.
like mention one thing before we wrap up? So like speaking
Sure.
of like anime cosplays, right? So there was like
Oh.
they were advertising for I think it was like one of the blurred company like cons or groups or whatever was advertising for like a cosplay contest, and I was like looking at the categories and I was like, where's video games? Like, hi, I'm a video game cosplayer. Where's the video games? Like,
Video games is
like,
such a
why
large
y'all leave
category
video
by
games
itself. I don't
out?
understand.
I don't understand it. It's like, I get anime's big, right? But like video games, the video games is big, and it's like, where the video game representation at? Because that's all of my cosplay is like, I don't have not one.
95% for
one.
me.
And
Mhm.
it's like, yo, where the video games at? You know,
It's all about timing. I'm sure if somebody does cyberpunk the
but I'm gonna
cyberpunk
be real
game.
with you. Like I swore off contests like a long time ago, so it wasn't like I mean, I just was like thinking about it, and I was like, oh, there's no video game category, and it's like, but so we are sadly pretty much out of time because we are at like an hour and 32 minutes. We always have this wonderful process where we just never stop because the vibes.
No, we
are
never
real.
wanna
Like,
stop.
we
Nope.
never stop because the
This
vibes are
episode
real.
specifically was it was like all the episodes are from, but this one, it just felt like a whole conversation. Like,
It was
Yeah.
very good. Like I just kind of like. I'm sorry I was so quiet. I just was like listening to AJ like make his.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't even want to.
No.
I'm sorry.
Never
it's like
be
I
sorry.
didn't want to
You were
interrupt
good.
because like you were like really good. Like you hit it with money. Like I just was like I'm just gonna but I laughed because I wanted to tell you this like when we first talked about guests and everything, and I wanted like male cosplayers because I wanted to do like especially for the intro of the cosplay and everything. I thought of you. I just wanted to let you know. Like I thought of you first. I was like, I'm gonna ask AJ. Like,
Thank you.
So I thought of you first, and it's so funny because like we said like in the previous episodes, like when I was talking about how we made this like podcast or whatever, and I was like trying to figure out who I was gonna deal with, and like my first like I asked like Babu first, and I was like, yo, I want to get Pre. That's like literally how this happened. So like that happened with you too. So you happen to be like our first guest because I was like, I thought of this person. Like, let me grab them. So
I'm so happy you thought of me. It's been a pleasure talking with you guys, both like in a, I guess, quote unquote official sense, but also just in general to finally hear your guys' voices. You really have like the groups that I've been in with you guys have really been kind of a blessing in this past year. And from the trends to the takes to just you guys kind of showing more and more of what I want to see from the community, it's pushed me to be like, you know what? I can do that too, or I should do that too. And I can push myself in this way. I can do more here. It's really, I don't think my following has grown more in the past year compared to before. And I really do owe it to guys like you. And thank you for not just having me here, but and thinking of me, but for that as well. And I look forward to more conversations and possible collabs in the future.
Well, thank you. You are wonderful. It was wonderful having you. I can't. We could just listen to you forever.
Like,
Yeah.
like you had like Babu from like the whole Jason Todd thing, like you had, like, the whole ass, like minute. Where like me and Pri are just watching y'all geek out over here. We're like, yeah, you know. They're like having a moment.
I gotta- Gotta share my love. It's fine.
I like
To be
appreciate
fair, I
all
haven't
of
talked about
guys.
Jason Todd in a long time, so the lid just kind of came off for a second. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no,
It's
it's
fine.
okay. I get really
Always
excited
slide
about
into my
crafting.
DMs about Jason. I'm always there to talk about the boy.
I get stupid excited about crafting and I won't shut up. So like that's just me. But like a different subject, I could talk all day about, you know.
Oh,
Crafting
I
and
love
stuff,
your
but,
progress
like,
threads. I wish I could do half the stuff that you do, and I'm looking forward to more of the stuff that you make.
Oh, thank you. It's endless sanding here.
One
Endless
thing that I like
sand.
about our general group chat, like like I hate to say circle because you know the bigger cosplay community, but our group chat by itself, I just love how everyone just seems to have like their own strengths and we just kind of like complement each other and things like that. So
Yeah, we
I
have
can't
some
say that
really
about a lot
good
of
graphic
people.
artists in here. We have someone who does like the muscle shirt, like the muscle suits. Like occasionally, I think he like pops up, and like there's somebody who does like the whole like superhero like muscle
Oh,
suits.
yeah, I know who you're talking about. I think Todd Way is the one who
Yeah,
does
like
the
I
super
like
suits.
spy on him every now and then when I see him on like my timeline because I don't think he posts a lot, or I don't know. Twitter's been kind of weird lately. Like I don't see certain people anymore.
I don't
and
see
I don't
a lot of you
know
guys at all,
why.
but that's just Twitter being Twitter.
I think it's just Twitter being Twitter. Like I always have it set the latest, and I always like have a set schedule. Like you know, I have set times during the day where I'll like catch up, and that's why you might get a like on your post at like 3 in the morning because that's just me like going to bed, like looking, checking out stuff. Yeah, but we have like a lot of like different strengths in our group, and just a lot of positive people. Really like fun people that I hope I
It's
get
like
to
a
meet.
family.
It is.
I
And
hope
that's
I get to meet them.
what
at
the
con
community
time.
should feel like to you. When you find your community, it should feel like a family.
Find your people.
Find your people. And
If
that's,
you don't have it right now, you will. It took me 2 years.
you'll find them.
You will.
And I think we should end on find your people.
Find your
Again,
people.
thank you. Yeah, thank you, AJ, so much for joining us. We definitely will be asking you to join us again because it was
This
awesome.
was so much
You
fun.
might,
Yeah.
we should just have you come in on like one of the heavy hitter episodes, like the just preach to us, like the heavy hitter episodes. Be like, just tell us, you know, because I
Hey,
feel like
you
I want
guys-
to do one of those soon, like
Speak the
in
cosplay truth.
January.
Yes.
Slide into my DMs, and you know where to find me. I'm happy to be.
Awesome.
I was happy to be here, and I'm happy to come back at any time.
Awesome. We will
Alright.
definitely be in touch about that. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And thank you, Megan, for the compliment. I'm glad that you guys
so
enjoyed it.
Guys.
Find your people.
Find your
your people.
people.
Find your people. Take your time.
Find your people.
I'm gonna take us offline. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Can I stop waving? Okay.
Yep.